That's true, and that's one of the subjects of my recent book, How the Economy Was Lost. You gave a very good summary of what happened, all of it in the name of reform. And of course, the reforms destroyed the federal structure and gave us the powerful central government. You know, the Civil War did a great job in destroying states' rights, but certain amounts of it remained until 1913.
Dr. Roberts, I want to talk more about the income tax and all the new taxes they want to pile on that are similar. But what about the states and property taxes? Many states didn't have property taxes until the last 20, 30 years, and they go up and up and up. That's another classic feudal serf tax where you didn't own the land you were on. You were the keeper of it, but you had to pay a percentage to the nobles.
Yes, of course. Property taxes really aren't avoidable because even if you rent from a landlord, he has to pay the tax, so it goes into the rent. Property tax, the reason given for that and what was used was to fund public schools. So you find the public school system based on the property tax, and therefore this made it free, so to speak. Since property tax wasn't avoidable, and people paid the property tax, so they used public schools, and this was a great setback to private education, and it was another mechanism for government to condition the thinking of people, to brainwash them through time, to make them think that they are free and have democracy, even though they are the source of the government. The government has a very powerful claim on their income. Let me illustrate that a little bit more. Back during the slavery period in the United States, there were slaves who had special skills. They were craftsmen. They were highly trained in some aspect of arts and crafts, and their labor was worth more than working in the cotton fields or working on the plantation. And so what would happen is the owners of the slave would lease the slave to a businessman in a city or town. And the man who leased the slave would withhold half of the slave's earnings and send it back to the owner and give the other half to the slave, which he used to maintain himself in town where he lived, on his own resources after tax. Well, that's the way it works today. Most people cannot avoid income tax because they never get the money. It's withheld at the source.
And by the way, we've seen this new hoax by AP and others. I see it all over the news that 47% of Americans don't pay income tax after deductions. But what is FICA and Social Security? Don't they know that their employers are just paying them less because they have to pay all those other taxes and matching Social Security, FICA? I mean, this lie that 47% of the public are avoiding taxes is a hoax, is it not?
Yes, it's a hoax. Most of the things they tell you are a hoax. They also tell you that the rich don't pay taxes. But the IRS statistics of income show that the rich pay almost all the taxes because they have most of the income. And so just about everything people think they know about the income tax system is wrong.
Well, now, there are some international corporations, though, in offshoring, they are avoiding a lot of taxes.
Not necessarily. You see, you're taxed on your worldwide income. If you're a global corporation, say you're operating in the United States and say Europe, for example, and you're taxed in Germany and France, then that income is an offset to those earnings, and it is not again taxed by the United States government. So it's not really the case that they can avoid taxes.
All right, stay there. We got a break then. Why then do we see the mega corporations always lobbying for more taxes, or the big healthcare insurance companies lobbying for healthcare? We'll ask Dr. Roberts that question when we come back and talk about where he sees this nation going. As he said last week, the economy is being destroyed by design. We'll get him to expand on that. Stay with us, Dr. Roberts. I'm Alex Jones. Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, again, our guest, joining us on April 15, 2010. I want to open the phones up for Dr. Roberts, 1-800-259-9231. We'll take a few calls before he leaves us. Okay, Doc, this is a short segment. Fleshing out, expanding on that point you're making, that they're destroying the economy by design. Why? Why are some of the biggest corporations in the world with government pushing to turn people into indentured servants?
Yes, well, I think to make people aware of that fact is probably more important than to know all the reasons why. A lot of it is a result of unintended consequences, and most of the rest is a result of short-term greed. The way the incentive structure for top management corporations is structured, it gives them a very short-term horizon. They want to know what the profits are next quarter. The longest horizon they have is 4 quarters. And in the way these things are structured, their bonuses that they get for performance far, far exceeds their regular salaries. So they make themselves multi-million-dollar incomes by moving American jobs offshore, because they then replace American labor with very, very inexpensive foreign labor in countries where there's a huge surplus of unemployed labor. In China, for example, a couple 100 million unemployed people to draw on. So by severely cutting their labor costs, the profits jump dramatically, and they get enormous bonuses. And that's the basic source of it. And it's why the prospects, the economic prospects for millions of Americans are gone. And not just people alive today, but future generations. The kinds of jobs that college graduates used to get are simply disappearing. They're moved abroad, or they are filled with foreign guest workers on H-1B visas and L-1 visas. And so it's actually making the universities redundant. Why in the world did you go pursue university careers with the notion of some professional career that's been destroyed by the offshoring of the jobs? So it's having a tremendous adverse impact on the United States.
And you and other economists talk about how these jobs aren't coming back. It took hundreds of years to build what we've got, now just a few decades to destroy it. There was open discussion by the IMF and World Bank now of the dollar going down. They're saying they need more bailouts, VAT taxes, sales taxes, carbon taxes, when any economist worth their salt knows in a stalling economy, you throw more taxes on, that will just accelerate the economy's implosion.
That's right. You see, by wrecking the economy, they have worsened the trade deficit dramatically. They have worsened the federal budget deficit, which they can no longer finance, and that is a threat to the dollar as reserve currency, which is a threat to their power of the United States. And so now it looks like the hard-pressed Americans could be hit with new forms of oppressive taxation, such as a value-added tax on top of the income and Social Security tax and state sales taxes and property taxes. So they have, by putting the dollar into jeopardy and having to rescue the dollar in order to rescue the power of the American militarist superstate, they have to drive the population, or 96% of it, deeper into the ground. And that's exactly what is on the agenda. And the the result for the American people is going to be horrific. They're going to be put through the mill in a way that people haven't experienced in the longest time.